Today, I want to talk about microphone technique and all the wonderful things you can do just by playing around with your body position in relation to the microphone. Because here's the thing, in real life, we don't always speak at the same level. Like when I see my cat rolling around in the dirt outside and coming into the house, I'm like, oh my God, you dirty cat. And if I lose my keys, I'm like, oh my God, where are my keys? Right, so we have the opportunity to replicate that in our recordings. Before we get into it, I just want to point out that this is going to be a lot easier if you're using a cardioid microphone like this. Shotgun microphones, they're just not as versatile when it comes to body positioning around the mic. They're not as forgiving. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, or you want to learn more about the best microphones for voice actors, I did a series of videos that explain everything you need to know. They're super short and simple and to the point. So I encourage you to check those out. And I also wrote a few blogs on getcleverabout.com. Before we start, I'm going to ask you to shut your email notifications and any notifications that you have, just so that you can really focus. So if you need a minute to stop your video and go and do that, then go ahead. I'm also going to invite you to do a little warm up with me. It just helps to relax and focus. It's something I always do before sessions, something I've learned over the years, and it's really, really helpful. And it also lets the information sink in when we're learning new things. So I'm going to roll the shoulders back 5 times, forward 5 times, and then we're going to roll our heads one direction 5 times and then the other direction 5 times. And then we're going to take a few breaths together, and I'll explain when we get there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we'll roll our heads all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Other direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you really notice all the noises that occur in your neck. It's like bones are cracking or something, but it just feels really good. So now we're going to breathe together 5 breaths through the nose, and we're going to exhale through the mouth. And we're going to send our breaths all the way down to our toes. It usually feels really good, and it's really relaxing. So here we go. And that's it. Now we're relaxed and ready to roll. So first things first, let's talk about just typical body positioning in relation to the mic. So a lot of documentation will say that you should be about 12 inches away from the microphone. That's true for larger spaces, but most of us work in smaller spaces. And in small spaces, I find that you end up just being a lot closer to your mic. I would say about maybe like a hand width away. Now, while I'm here, I have 2 pop screens here, and might as well talk about them because they can be helpful. This pop screen here, the first one, is a metal one, and it's really good at helping to prevent popping peas. If you don't know what that is, or you want tricks to help you, I'll make another video about that that's really helpful. This other pop screen is made of nylon, and nylon isn't great at preventing popping peas, but it's really great at preventing moisture from hitting the microphone, much better than a metal filter. So that's why I've got those 2 there. So in general, I'm pretty close up. Like, I'll back up when I'm doing some microphone technique, which we'll go over later, but in general, I'm pretty close up, and that's typical of small spaces. So in the industry, when we talk about different volumes of speech, we often use the term projection. Projection is a theater term because in theater, when you're on stage, you have to project your voice to the back of the theater so that everybody can hear you. So in the industry, a director or engineer can say project more or project less. It just means speak louder or speak lower. Now, when you're using mic technique, you're really going to have to think about the level at which you're recording. And I'm talking about the audio device you're using to record. So for instance, I use a preamp, and on my preamp, a normal speaking level, the knob will be set about 12 o'clock. If you're using an audio interface, no preamp, your setting might be a little bit higher than that. Whatever you do, the more you project, the more you're going to turn the level down on your device. And the less you project, the more you're going to turn your level up on your device. But the thing is, when we're performing, sometimes we mix it up. We project more, we project less. So whatever you do, just make sure that you're not peaking in the areas where you're going to project more. And what you might have to do at the end is amplify, bring up the volume on certain areas where you projected less. And again, with these techniques, what we're trying to do is really replicate actual speech. So always think about that when you're playing around. So here we are, technique number 1, the lean in or the intimate read. So this is really, really simple. You just lean into your microphone and you get as close as you possibly can, and you just lower your voice to a point where you're not actually completely whispering, because actually whispering doesn't really work in voice acting. You kind of always need a little bit of voice, but you want to speak as low as you possibly can while still emitting sound. And this technique is really, really fun. You can use it in many different scenarios, not just in video games or animation, but you can also use it in narration, all kinds of scenarios. It can be used to emphasize something, to make a joke, as an aside, or as a sort of a wink in the voice acting way. So it's really, really fun. Let's look at a little script where we can use it. So this little script here is a commercial with a character in it, a radio commercial. And these are usually really conducive to choosing certain sections to lean in with. And when you record multiple takes, you can change those sections. It's really creative, so just have fun and trying different things. Hi, it's me again. The stain on your favorite jeans? You know, the really stinky, greasy one from 3 washes ago. Cheese fries ring a bell? I'm still around. I'm not going anywhere for a while. Maybe forever. So if you wanted to just, accept that, because we belong, right? So just a couple of areas that I leaned in, and just you can change it up next time. It's really a lot of fun. Technique number 2. So this is an extension of the lean in, but now you're leaning in, but you're a close talker. So you speak almost at a normal speaking level, but to compensate for the fact that you're a close talker, you're going to enunciate less or try to keep it in your teeth. Don't pronounce too much, and don't move your mouth too much. So let's look at a different section of the script. I'm still around. I'm not going anywhere for a while. Maybe forever. So if you wanted to just, accept that. Technique number 3, the off mic technique. This is really, really fun when you have scripts where a character is coming into a room or talking to a character in another room. In this script that we've been looking at, there's a point where it's marked in the script background, and she says, "Am I still here?" So that indicates a sort of off mic moment, because she's like in the background wondering if she's been taken away. She's a stain on a pair of jeans, right? So maybe she's getting washed or whatever. So this is a part where you could just get completely off mic, and you could go under your desk. You can go way off as far as you want. You can just take it as far as you want. The important thing, if you use this technique, especially if you use it in the beginning or throughout your message, at some point listeners are going to want to hear your voice straight onto the mic. So just make sure you do that at some point, but you can just have a lot of fun and take it as far as you want. So let's look at this script towards the end part where she's wondering if she's still in the room. So if you wanted to just, accept that, because we belong. Am I still here? Hello? And you can really just go far, far away. It prevents you from doing something in post-production where you could fade out digitally, but it's always fun to do it for real if you can. So here's another little script where I could be coming from outside the room and then trying to get my partner's attention. Hey, honey, have you seen the Clorox? I really need the Clorox. Do you know where it is? So here you're mixing the technique of being off mic and then doing the lean in. So it becomes very dynamic and fun. Technique number 4 is what I call life noises. So it's bringing in all the stuff that happens to us and that we do in real life into the recording. So I'm talking about being out of breath, making sounds like, I don't know, and swallowing and breathing and all those things that we do in real life. And that just makes recordings really, really dynamic. Like, for example, I could have a character that's out of breath and asking for a glass of water, right? So I would start off mic and I would get myself out of breath and just breathe fast, right? And then, oh, wow. Do you have a glass of water? Right? So it's so much more dynamic, adding all that life into it than just saying, do you have a glass of water? And the more you can bring that into your recordings, especially when you're recording characters, the more your reads are just going to stand out. But even in sometimes more straight narrations, you can still throw a little bit of real life. And what you can do with all these noises is always play around with your position around the microphone. You can always be a little bit off, or sometimes you can be straight on too. But whatever you do, as for the other techniques, is that you want to at some point just be in front of the mic. If you're always off, then we can't really hear what you actually sound like. So just always remember to come back. Last technique, yelling. So yelling is obviously used a lot in video games and in animation, but there's also a lot of comedy in yelling. I love yelling for commercials, comedic commercials. They're just really, really fun. The important thing is to create a lot of distance from your microphone and to lower the level on your device. That becomes very, very important. One trick that I use for comedy is I make my voice flutter a lot, like, stuff like that, so that it becomes very, very funny. So it's yelling, but it's comedic yelling, and it's more controlled, right? So have fun with that. But if you're looking to get into video games, get a video game coach. That's a very, very special skill that you're going to have to practice. So those are some techniques for you to play around with. I hope you enjoy them. They are so much fun. Take a risk, have fun. And if you have any questions or comments, write me in the comments. I love interacting with you and getting to know you. I'll see you next time.